The city was loud. Cars below. Lights everywhere. Money in the air. On the top of a tall glass building, a private event was happening. Rich people stood in small groups, laughing softly, holding expensive drinks. Cameras flashed again and again. Everyone was dressed clean, sharp, and powerful. At the center of it all stood a woman. She was young. She was confident. She was the CEO. People whispered her name with respect. Some with fear. Some with admiration. She owned companies. She owned buildings. She owned power. Behind her, a black helicopter waited on the rooftop. Its blades were still, but it looked ready, like it was watching everyone. The CEO smiled for the cameras. "This helicopter," she said proudly, "is my favorite." People clapped. Then something happened. At the edge of the rooftop, near the service door, a man appeared. No one noticed him at first. He was black. He was homeless. His clothes were old. His shoes were worn. He stood quietly, holding a small bag. He did not beg. He did not speak. He only watched. Security guards turned fast. "Hey, you can't be here," one guard said loudly. The man looked at him calmly. "No anger. No fear. I just want to watch," the man said in a soft voice. People began to notice. Whispers started. "Who let him in? Why is he here? Is this a joke?" The CEO turned around. Her smile slowly changed. She looked at the man from head to toe. Her eyes stopped at his dirty jacket, then his hands, then his face. She laughed. Not a happy laugh. A sharp laugh. "Seriously," she said. "Is this what we're doing now?" The crowd laughed with her. The man stayed quiet. She walked closer to him, heels clicking on a rooftop floor. "You like helicopters?" she asked. "Yes," the man replied calmly. That made her laugh even louder. The CEO turned to the crowd, enjoying the moment. "Listen, everyone," she said. "If this man can fly that helicopter," she pointed behind her, "then I will marry him." The rooftop exploded with laughter. People clapped. Phones came out. Someone shouted, "Do it!" The man did not smile. He did not look angry. He looked at the helicopter. Something about his eyes changed. The CEO crossed her arms. "Well," she said, "what are you waiting for?" The man took one slow step forward. Security moved quickly. "Stop him," one guard yelled. The CEO raised her hand. "No," she said. "Let him try. This should be fun." The guard stopped. The man walked toward the helicopter. Each step was slow, controlled. The crowd grew quiet. Someone whispered, "Why is he walking like that?" Another said, "That looks confident." The man reached the helicopter door. He placed his hand on it and paused. For a moment, the rooftop felt silent. Even the city noise below seemed far away. The man closed his eyes, just for 1 second. Then he opened the door. The CEO's smile began to fade. Something felt wrong. This was not how a homeless man should act. He climbed inside the helicopter with ease. No ruse. No confusión. He sat in the pilot's seat. People stopped laughing. A camera zoomed in. The CEO's heart started to beat faster. "Wait," she said quietly. "He doesn't even know what he's." The helicopter lights turned on. The dashboard came alive. The man's hands moved smoothly over the controls. Not guessing. Not searching. Knowing. The CEO stepped closer. Her eyes widened. "That's not possible," she whispered. The helicopter blades began to move. Slowly, then faster. Wind rushed across the rooftop. People stepped back in fear. Security shouted, "Turn it off." The man did not look back. He looked forward, focused, calm, like he had done this before. Many times. The helicopter lifted slightly, just inches from the ground. The CEO's mouth opened, but no words came out. The man glanced through the glass. For the first time, he looked at her directly. His face was calm. His eyes were deep, and his look said one thing clearly. You should never judge a man before you know his story. The helicopter hovered in the air. The crowd stood frozen, and the CEO realized something terrifying. She had made a joke, but the joke was about to turn into a truth she was not ready for. The helicopter stayed in the air. Not high, not low, just enough. The wind slapped faces. Dresses moved. Hair flew. Glasses shook. The city below kept moving, unaware that something strange was happening above it. No one laughed anymore. The CEO stood frozen. Her heels felt heavy now, like they were glued to the rooftop. Her confident smile was gone. In its place was confusion and fear. "This is not funny anymore," she said loudly. The man inside the helicopter did not answer. His hands were steady. His breathing was slow. His eyes were focused straight ahead. Security guards shouted over the noise. "Bring it down. Turn it off now." The man gently pulled a lever. The helicopter lowered back onto the rooftop with perfect control. No hard landing. No shake. No me stuck. Silence fell. The blades slowly stopped. The man removed the headset and stepped out. People stared. A moment ago, they saw a homeless man. Now they didn't know what they were looking at. The CEO walked forward. "Who are you?" she asked sharply. The man looked at her. "I'm someone you laughed at," he said calmly. That answer hit harder than any shout. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. A man in a suit whispered, "That was professional flying." Another replied, "Very professional." The CEO crossed her arms, trying to take control again. "This doesn't prove anything," she said. "Anyone can get lucky once." The man tilted his head slightly. "Luck does not land a helicopter like that," he said. People nodded silently. The CEO felt her power slipping. She did not like it. She waved at security. "Check him," she ordered. "Search him. I want to know how he did that." 2 guards stepped closer. The man did not resist. They checked his pockets, his bag, his jacket. Nothing. No license. No phone. No ID. One guard frowned. "There's nothing here," he said. The CEO looked confused. "That makes no sense," she said. "You don't just wake up knowing how to fly." The man smiled slightly. Not proud. Not angry. Just tired. "Some people are trained," he said. "Some people are born into it. And some people lose everything." The last words felt heavy. The CEO studied his face more closely now. Not his clothes. Not his smell. His eyes. They were not broken eyes. They were not weak eyes. They were experienced. "You planned this," she accused. "You came here on purpose." The man shook his head. "I came to watch," he said. "You made it a show." The crowd stayed silent. A woman near the back whispered, "He's not wrong." The CEO clenched her jaw. She remembered her words. "If you can fly this chopper, I'll marry you." The sentence echoed in her mind. She felt embarrassed, angry, exposed. She tried to laugh it off. "Relax," she said. "It was just a joke." The man stepped closer. His voice stayed calm, but it carried weight. "Jokes are funny," he said. "That was not." The CEO swallowed. For the first time in years, someone spoke to her like that. No fear. No apology. A reporter raised a camera. "Sir," he asked, "where did you learn to fly like that?" The man looked at the camera. Then he looked away. "From a life I no longer have," he said. That sentence stopped everyone. The CEO felt something strange in her chest. Curiosity. She pointed at the helicopter again. "If you are so skilled," she said, "then prove it." The man turned back to her. "You already saw enough," he replied. She stepped closer. "I want the truth," she said. He met her eyes. "Truth is dangerous," he said, "especially for people who live on top of buildings like this." A chill moved through the crowd. The CEO laughed nervously. "You're dramatic," she said. The man did not smile. "You're protected," he said. "That's different." Silence again. Security shifted nervously. The CEO felt eyes on her. She raised her chin. "Fine," she said. "We will find out who you are." She turned to her assistant. "Run a background check. Now." The man nodded slowly. "As you wish," he said. Then he added quietly, "But be careful what you dig up." The CEO paused. "Why?" she asked. The man looked at the city below. "Because some stories," he said, "change who holds the power." The wind blew again. The helicopter stood still, and the CEO realized something deeply unsettling. This man was not asking for attention. He was waiting for something, and whatever it was coming. The night air felt heavier now. The rooftop was quiet, but not peaceful. It was the kind of silence where everyone was thinking the same thing, but no one wanted to say it out loud. The CEO stood near the edge, arms crossed tightly. Her assistant stood beside her, phone in hand, fingers moving fast across the screen. The homeless man stood alone near the helicopter. He did not move. He did not speak. He waited. The assistant suddenly froze. Her face lost color. "Ma'am," she said slowly, The CEO turned. What is it? The assistant swallowed. I think there's a mistake. There is no mistake, the CEO snapped. Just read it. The assistant looked at the man, then back at the phone. There are no public records, she said. No recent records. No address. No job history. The CEO laughed once. Of course not. He's homeless. The assistant shook her head. That's not what I mean, she said. They're old files. Very old. How old? The CEO asked. The assistant hesitated. 10 years. The crowd leaned in. The CEO's smile faded again. Read it, she ordered. The assistant spoke slowly. Name? Daniel Cole. The man closed his eyes for a brief moment. Someone in the crowd whispered, that name sounds familiar. The assistant continued. Former chief helicopter pilot. Gasps spread through the rooftop. The CEO took a step forward. Pilot where? The assistant's voice dropped. For a private security firm. One that worked with government contracts. The wind blew hard again. That's impossible, the CEO said. Those pilots don't end up homeless. Daniel opened his eyes. Some do, he said quietly. The assistant kept reading. Multiple commendations, she said. Advanced flight training. Emergency rescues. Classified missions. The CEO felt her chest tighten. Why did he disappear? She asked. The assistant scrolled. Then stopped. Her hands began to shake. There was an incident, she said. A crash. The rooftop went silent. Daniel looked at the city lights below. One helicopter, he said. 2 passengers. The CEO whispered they died. Daniel nodded slowly. Yes. The assistant looked up. It says the pilot was blamed. The CEO stared at Daniel. You? She asked. Daniel did not answer right away. Then he said, I followed orders. A man in the crowd spoke up. Why was the pilot blamed? The assistant's voice was almost shaking now. Because someone needed to be, she said. The CEO felt dizzy. Who? She asked. The assistant stopped reading. Her eyes widened. It says the company was protected. Evidence was sealed. The CEO suddenly felt cold. She knew that company. Very well. Her company. She stepped back like she had been hit. Daniel watched her. You remember now? He said calmly. She shook her head. No, that was years ago. That case was closed. For you, Daniel said. The crowd murmured loudly. Are you saying you were framed? Someone asked. Daniel turned to the crowd. I lost my job, he said. My license. My name. He looked down at his hands. My family. The CEO whispered, what happened to them? Daniel's voice lowered. They left, he said. They believed the news. Silence. Deep silence. The assistant spoke again. There's more, she said. After the trial, he vanished. The CEO looked at Daniel. Where did you go? She asked. Daniel took a deep breath. Down, he said. People felt the weight of that word. I slept in shelters, he continued. Under bridges. On sidewalks. Someone whispered, for 10 years. Daniel nodded. Yes. The CEO felt shame rise in her throat. She remembered laughing. She remembered the joke. She remembered the crowd laughing with her. Her voice broke slightly. Why come here? She asked. Why tonight? Daniel finally looked directly at her. Because this building, he said, was built with the money that destroyed my life. The CEO felt like the ground shifted. The assistant checked the file again. There's a note, she said. Internal memo. It says, the pilot must never be allowed to speak. The crowd gasped. Daniel smiled sadly. I stayed quiet, he said. Not because I was weak. Because I was waiting. The CEO whispered, waiting for what? Daniel looked at the helicopter. Truth, he said. Then he looked at her. And for someone powerful enough to face it. The city lights flickered below. Cameras kept rolling. And the CEO realized something terrifying. This was no accident. This meeting was not random. This man had not come for money. He had come for justice. And now, she was standing in the middle of his story. The rooftop did not feel the same anymore. The lights were still bright. The city was still loud below. But the power in the air had changed. The CEO stood still, staring at Daniel. For the first time, she did not know what to say. People who once laughed were now silent. Some looked at the ground. Some looked at Daniel with respect. Others looked at the CEO, waiting to see what she would do. Her assistant stepped closer and whispered, the cameras are still on. The CEO nodded slowly. She took a deep breath and straightened her back. "This conversation is over," she said loudly. "Everyone leave the rooftop." Security moved fast. Reporters protested. "This is public interest." She turned sharply. "This is my building." Guards began escorting people away. One by one, the crowd disappeared. Soon, only 4 people remained. The CEO, Daniel, her assistant, and one security guard. The helicopter stood quiet behind them. The CEO walked closer to Daniel, slower now. "Careful. You planned this," she said again, but her voice was softer. Daniel shook his head. "I planned to survive," he said. "Everything else happened on its own." She studied his face again. "Not as a rich woman. Not as a boss. As a human. You could have spoken years ago," she said. "You could have exposed everything." Daniel looked away. "Who would listen?" he asked. "A homeless man?" That sentence hit her hard. She had no answer. She turned to her assistant. "Leave us." The assistant hesitated. "Mom." "Leave," she said firmly. The assistant walked away. The rooftop was now empty except for them. Wind moved between them. The CEO spoke first. "My name is Evelyn," she said quietly. Daniel nodded once. "I know." She swallowed. "I won't insult you with excuses," she said. "But I didn't know." Daniel met her eyes. "I believe you," he said. "That does not change what happened." Her shoulders dropped slightly. "Why didn't you hate me?" she asked. Daniel thought for a moment. "Hate keeps you stuck," he said. "I already lost enough time." She felt something tighten in her chest. For the first time, someone spoke to her without fear and without need. She looked at the helicopter. "You still fly like you never stopped," she said. Daniel's lips pressed together. "Flying never left me," he said. "The world did." She stepped closer. "If everything you said is true," she said, "then what do you want from me?" Daniel turned slowly. "For years," he said, "I wanted revenge." She held her breath. "But revenge doesn't give you your name back," he continued. "It only gives you more ghosts." She nodded slowly. "So what now?" she asked. Daniel looked at the building. "At the people inside," he said. "At the system that crushed me quietly." He looked back at her. "You are part of that system." She did not deny it. "Yes," she said. "I am." Silence stretched. Then she surprised herself. "What can I do?" she asked. Daniel studied her face. "Listen," he said. She nodded. "Then be honest," he added. She nodded again. "I can reopen the case," she said. "Unseal the files. Make everything public." Daniel's eyes narrowed slightly. "That will cost you," he said. "I know," she replied. "Your board will fight you." "I know. Your image will suffer." She met his gaze. "Good," she said. "Maybe it should." Daniel felt something shift inside him. Not trust, but possibility. He turned away for a moment, looking at the city lights. 10 years, he said softly. I watched people pass me like I was invisible. Evelyn listened. No one asked my name, he continued. No one asked my story. She whispered, I'm asking now. Daniel turned back. My name is Daniel Cole, he said clearly. She repeated it quietly, like it mattered. It does, he said. She nodded. For the first time that night, there was no power between them. Only truth. The helicopter light blinked once, softly. Daniel glanced at it. You still owe me something, he said. She frowned slightly. What? He looked at her. You made a promise, he said calmly. Her heart skipped. She remembered her words. If you can fly this chopper, I'll marry you. Her face flushed. That was, she began. A joke, he finished. I know. He paused. But words matter, he added. She laughed nervously. You don't want that, she said. Daniel smiled slightly. No, he said. I want something harder. She leaned in. What? Respect, he said. Not pity. Not apology. She nodded slowly. You have it, she said. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Then he said quietly, Good. Because this is just the beginning. The wind blew stronger. And for the first time in her life, Evelyn felt like she was standing on the edge of something real. Morning came fast. The city woke up like nothing had happened. But for Daniel, everything had changed. He sat on a bench outside the building, the same building where he once stood powerful and later stood homeless. Evelyn watched him from the glass window above. She had not slept. Her phone had not stopped ringing. Board members, lawyers, PR teams, everyone was angry. You cannot reopen this case, One board member shouted on speaker. It will destroy the company, another said. Evelyn closed her eyes. It already destroyed someone's life, she replied. She ended the call. Her assistant entered quietly. The media found the old files, she said. They're digging fast. Evelyn nodded. Let them. Down below. Daniel stood up and began to walk. Evelyn noticed something. He was limping. She frowned. She grabbed her coat and rushed downstairs. Daniel, she called. He turned slowly. You should rest, she said. You didn't sleep. He smiled faintly. I haven't slept well in 10 years, he said. She looked at his leg. You're hurt. He hesitated. Then he lifted his pant leg slightly. A deep scar ran down his calf. Crash night, he said. Metal went through. She felt sick. You never got treatment? I did, he said. Once. She followed him as he walked. Where are you going? She asked. He stopped. To the place where I lost everything, he said. She swallowed. Take me with you. He studied her face. This won't be clean, he warned. I know, she said. They drove across the city in silence. The building appeared old now. Faded. Forgotten. Daniel stepped out of the car slowly. This is where they told me the passengers were dead, he said. Evelyn followed him inside. The hallway smelled of dust and time. He stopped at a door. I sat here all night, he said, waiting for answers. His voice cracked slightly. Evelyn said nothing. Inside the room, Daniel sat down. For the first time, his strength faded. They took my license, he said. My name. My voice. He clenched his fists. I tried to fight, he continued. But I was alone. Evelyn felt tears in her eyes. What happened after? She asked softly. Daniel laughed bitterly. I drank, he said. I begged. I slept in my car. He looked at her. Then I lost the car. Silence filled the room. One night, he continued, I stood on a bridge. Evelyn's heart stopped. And I thought, maybe this is easier. Her breath shook. What stopped you? She asked. Daniel looked at the floor. A boy, he said. Homeless like me. He smiled sadly. He asked me if flying felt like freedom. Evelyn wiped her eyes. I realized, Daniel said, if I died, the lie would live forever. Evelyn stood up suddenly. I won't let that happen, she said firmly. She pulled out her phone. She dialed a number. Unseal everything, she said. All of it. The voice on the other end protested. She raised her voice. I don't care what it costs. She ended the call. Daniel stared at her. You're really doing this, he said. She nodded. Yes. He stood slowly. You will lose power, he warned. She looked at him. I already used it wrong, she said. Outside, reporters were gathering. Cameras everywhere. Evelyn stepped in front of them. She took the microphone. 10 years ago, she said, a man was blamed for a crime he did not commit. She paused. My company helped hide the truth. Gasps. I am reopening the case, she continued, and I will accept whatever comes. Reporters shouted questions. Daniel watched from behind. For the first time, he felt something new. Not anger. Relief. That night, Daniel returned to the shelter. He lay on a thin bed. For years, nights were his enemy. But this night felt different. He closed his eyes and dreamed, not of crashes, not of streets, but of the sky. And somewhere across the city, Evelyn stared at the ceiling of her penthouse, knowing she had crossed a line she could never return from, and knowing it was the first right step she had taken in a long time. The truth did not arrive quietly. It arrived loud. By morning, Daniel's name was everywhere. On phones, on screens, on people's lips. Some called him a hero. Others called him a liar. The shelter manager turned on the TV. A news anchor spoke fast. New evidence suggests former pilot Daniel Cole may have been wrongfully blamed. A man nearby shouted, "That's fake." Another said, "They're just using him." Daniel turned the TV off. He grabbed his bag and walked outside. The streets felt different now. People stared. Some pointed. A woman whispered, "That's him." A man yelled, "Go back to where you came from." Daniel kept walking. He had lived through worse. Across the city, Evelyn sat in a boardroom filled with anger. "You have ruined us," a man shouted. "You betrayed your own company," another said. Evelyn stood calm. "You built success on silence," she replied. "I'm done protecting lies." A lawyer leaned forward. "If this goes to court," he warned, "you will lose your position." Evelyn nodded. Then I lose it, she said. Outside the building, reporters waited. Daniel watched from across the street. He saw Evelyn walk out alone. No guards. No assistants. Just her. She walked toward him. They're coming after you, she said quietly. I know, Daniel replied. They're saying you planned this, she continued. That you staged the moment. Daniel laughed once. Funny, he said. I couldn't plan my own dinner last year. She smiled sadly. Court is in 2 days, she said. They want you to testify. Daniel went silent. Testify. That word carried weight. Once you speak, Evelyn said, you can't disappear again. Daniel looked away. I spent 10 years trying to survive, he said. Now, they want me to relive it. She nodded. I won't push you, she said. This is your choice. That night, Daniel sat alone under a bridge. The same place he once slept. The same cold concrete. He remembered the hunger. The fear. The nights he prayed not to wake up. A shadow moved. A young man stepped closer. You're Daniel, right? He asked. Daniel nodded carefully. The young man smiled. My mom used to say pilots were heroes, he said. She died believing lies. Daniel felt his chest tighten. She would be proud of you, the young man added. Then he walked away. Daniel sat there for a long time. The next morning, the city gathered again. Courtroom packed. Media everywhere. Daniel stood outside the door. His hand shook slightly. Evelyn stood beside him. You don't have to be perfect, she said. Just honest. Daniel closed his eyes. He stepped inside. Inside the courtroom, the past waited for him. Old faces. Cold eyes. Men who once pointed fingers. He took the stand. State your name, the judge said. Daniel Cole, he replied. The lawyer smirked. You expect us to believe you were innocent for 10 years. Daniel looked at the jury. I expect you to believe the truth, he said. They showed old footage. The crash. The fire. The reports. Daniel spoke calmly. They changed the data, he said. The failure was mechanical. The lawyer laughed. Do you have proof? Daniel nodded. Yes. Gasps filled the room. Evelyn watched closely. Daniel continued. I kept copies, he said. I was told to destroy them. The courtroom erupted. The judge slammed the gavel. Order. The lawyer turned pale. Daniel's voice stayed steady. I stayed silent because I was afraid, he said. Today I'm not. The judge leaned forward. Submit the evidence, he ordered. Outside, news spread fast. Minutes later, a decision came. The case would reopen fully. Charges pending. Daniel stepped outside into the light. Cameras flashed. People shouted his name. For the first time, he did not feel invisible. Evelyn stood beside him. You did it, she said. Daniel shook his head. No, he replied. I survived. That night, Daniel stood on the rooftop again. Same helicopter. Same city. But a different man. Evelyn joined him. The world is watching now, she said. Daniel looked at the sky. Let them, he said. I'm done hiding. And for the first time in 10 years, Daniel felt free enough to breathe. The city stood still that morning. Not because it stopped moving, but because everyone was watching. Cameras lined the street. News vans blocked traffic. People stood behind barriers, holding phones, waiting. Daniel Cole walked up the courthouse steps. No guards. No fame. Just calm. 10 years ago, he walked into a courtroom as a blamed man. Today, he walked in as a free one. Inside, the judge read the final decision. All charges against Daniel Cole are dismissed. Silence. Then gasps. Then tears. The judge continued. The evidence confirms the crash was caused by mechanical failure. The responsibility lies with the company, not the pilot. Daniel closed his eyes. He did not smile. He did not cry. He simply breathed. 10 years of weight fell off his chest in one moment. The judge looked at him. Mr. Cole, he said, the court recognizes your courage. Daniel nodded once. Outside, the crowd erupted. Some cheered. Some clapped. Some cried. Reporters pushed forward. Daniel, how does it feel? He stopped. It feels like getting my name back, he said. Evelyn stood a few steps behind him. She had lost her title, lost her board seat, lost power. But for the first time, she stood taller than ever. A reporter turned to her. Do you regret your decision? She looked at Daniel, then at the camera. No, she said. I regret waiting so long. Days passed. The story spread everywhere. The homeless pilot, the hidden truth, the CEO who chose honesty. Daniel was offered money. A lot of it. He said no. He was offered interviews, books, deals. He said no. One evening, Evelyn met Daniel on the same rooftop. The helicopter stood there again, quiet, waiting. The city lights glowed below. You could have taken everything, she said. Daniel smiled slightly. I already lost everything once, he replied. I don't need it twice. She nodded. There's one thing I still owe you, she said. He raised an eyebrow. She pointed at the helicopter. You should fly, she said. Not for show. For yourself. Daniel looked at it for a long moment. Then he stepped forward. He touched the door. This time, there was no crowd. No cameras. No laughter. Only silence. He climbed inside. The engine started. Smooth. Familiar. The helicopter lifted into the night sky. Higher. Higher. Daniel felt it again. Freedom. Not the kind that runs away. The kind that stays. Below, Evelyn watched him disappear into the clouds. Minutes later, the helicopter returned and landed softly. Daniel stepped out. His face looked lighter. You were right, he said. She smiled. About what? Some things are worth coming back for, he replied. She hesitated. There's something I want to say, she said quietly. He looked at her. I never meant what I said that night, she continued. About marrying you. He smiled. I know. She took a breath. But I meant something else, she said. That people should be seen. Daniel nodded. They stood in silence. Then Daniel spoke. I'm opening a flight school, he said, for kids who think the sky is not for them. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. I want to help, she said. He looked at her. Not as a CEO, he said. As a person. She nodded. I'd like that. Weeks later, Daniel stood on a small airfield. Kids ran around laughing. Planes rested nearby. One boy looked up at him. Sir, he asked, were you really homeless? Daniel smiled. Yes, he said. Are you a hero? The boy asked. Daniel knelt down. No, he said gently. I just didn't quit. The boy smiled wide. As the sun set, Daniel looked up at the sky. The same sky that once watched him fall, now watched him rise. And far away, on a rooftop, the city lights blinked. Not laughing, not judging, just watching a man who proved one simple truth. Never judge a man by where he stands today. Some people are only one truth away from flying again.